guys? It's your boy Dylan alongside with my dad.
Yo, and your boy Odie is in the background too. Say hi, Odie.
And today we are going to be predicting the wild card rounds and the entire NFL bracket.
Because he just wants to get right through it, guys. He's ready for playoff football. He actually went around the house with his playoff prediction. Right here, the second it was over with. And yeah, it's gonna be surprising of everything. Now, one thing I do want to point out before we get into it, this is where you put all these teams that are in it deserve that chance to go into it. Now, just remember, you did what you did in the regular season. Now you have to plant your best foot forward. Even though you could have had that best record in the league, it doesn't matter in the playoffs. It matters what you do in the playoffs. So let's go.
So we're going to start with the Texans and Browns for the wild card. Now, basically, the Texans, they had a major improvement year following last year. They were 3-13-1. They did have a tie. But this year, 10-7. And stealing the division away from Jacksonville. As for the Cleveland Browns, they're the first team to make the postseason with all four starting QBs starting in the same season. So, hey, if one gets injured, maybe they have another one for backup. And you know what? That's going to be probably the plan. But I think Joe Flacco is going to play an entire game, and his dominance will continue as the Browns will advance to the divisional round.
Yeah, they would be playing the Ravens because the Ravens have a bye week. Same thing on the NFC for the 49ers. They have a bye week, so they would have to go play. I guess you're saying that's your high seed right there, correct?
That's it's technically the lowest
seed.
So yeah.
I'm up against the highest seed. Mm-hmm. Correct. You know, I like what both teams have done. I like that the Browns were able to utilize Flacco this past year. C.J. Stroud for the Texans has made it very well intriguing. This was one team that I at the beginning of the season said, to watch for. And I really like what the Texans have built. Now let's go ahead and talk about this. C.J. Stroud's a young guy. Wild card game. Yeah, sure. It's going to be in the benefit is it is the Texans' advantage there. Flacco has the experience as well, though. And I think this is where, playoffs are a big thing. Rookies coming in here. It's hard. It's very, very hard. It's that feeling. It's that gut. Flacco has that experience. I think that experience takes over the Texans. And I believe the Browns will go play against the Ravens.
All right, moving on to the Dolphins and Chiefs. The Dolphins, last year, they were a postseason team, but they didn't advance. As for the Chiefs, well, last year they went to the Super Bowl and they won it, but go to this year, and they've been a back-and-forth team, but they did go 11-6 in this year, but this has been a concerning year for Kansas City because of their offense and Taylor Swift. So that's going to be the downfall for Kansas City, but I don't think there's going to be a downfall for this one, as I think the Chiefs are going to move on to the divisional round.
This is very interesting. I watched the game against the Bills. I think that shot all confident. When another team can go in and dominate that game at somebody else's stadium and then they get the cheers. Josh Allen was able to run around the Dolphins football stadium and grab cheers from people. It's been an amazing season for them. That being said, this was a big confidence booster for the Bills. But the Dolphins lose a key defensive person here. The Chiefs have been very shaky this year. The Dolphins have not done anything that convinces me that they can beat good teams. Yeah, they've beaten teams that are worse than them, so they might be in that advantage there. But that's kind of one of the things. Now, offense is a concern for me for the Chiefs. And I don't care, that they're playing at home. Their offense has been really shaky all year. Interception bound. I don't like it. Mahomes is forcing passes. Their O-line is beat up. They're allowing pressure to get there. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game between both teams. The biggest thing that Dolphins are going to have to do, if they want to win, they're going to have to air it out. But the Chiefs' defense is no doubt in my mind if you look at how they played all season, they are a top 5 in the league defensively. That defense wins games. Defense wins championships. I think it's one of those games where they're going to rely on that movement of, being able to utilize Pacheco, Hilaire, Hardman. They might even have to have Tony out there. Tony's going to have to learn how to catch. They're going to have to do something here. McCole Hardman, things of that nature. They're going to have to find a way. They're going to have to find a way to utilize Kelsey into it. And this is where you put your best foot forward. Fun fact, the Dolphins have not won a wild card game or a playoff game in January when the temperature is below 30 degrees. And it's predicted to be 11 degrees in Kansas City come Saturday night. So I think the Chiefs are going to steal this one, and they're going to move on.
All right, so for the last AFC wildcard, because ironically the first half of wildcard games are AFC wildcard games, we have Bills and Steelers. Another quarterback, which for the Steelers, that is seeking redemption in his career is Mason Rudolph. He was one of the reasons why the Steelers got to where they are today into the playoffs. As to where the Bills, at this point, they had a comeback year. Around mid-season, we were concerned that the Bills, they might not make it to the playoffs. But here they are today, 11-6, division champions, AFC East division champions. I'm saying that comeback season continues into the divisional round with the win over the Steelers.
I like what Mason Rudolph has done here, guys. I think he's been an integral part. Sure, you can argue the thing, he's won how many games for the Steelers this year? The Steelers have gone through a lot of problems, quarterback carousel, and Mason Rudolph is going to give them the best shot to put points on that board, which is wonderful for him. The Bills have been through that shakiness as well, too. It's one of those things. Josh Allen, he's a great quarterback. He can throw, he can run, he can utilize, he's fast. And, I like what he has been able to do. And a momentum builder is beating the Dolphins at the Dolphins territory this past week. So it's big. I think it's integral. It gives them that little bit of spirit to go upwards. I think the Bills are going to be playing the Chiefs in the divisional round. So the Chiefs will be flying to Buffalo to play that one.
All right, now let's jump to the NFC side, starting with the Cowboys versus the Packers. Now, both teams, the Packers, after that win over the Bears, they were able to make it to the playoffs for the Packers. As to where the Cowboys, after the Eagles going 1-5 in the last 6 games, they were able to take first place, seal the NFC East Division title. Gotta process that in my head. But the Cowboys will be at their own home stadium, and I think they're gonna take the dub. And for the second straight year, they're gonna move on to the divisional round.
It's kind of been one of those years. The Packers are putting something together. They really are. I like what Jordan Love does. However, there's times where he's inconsistent. Same thing with the Cowboys. When the Cowboys have lost atrociously. Their defense looks lackluster and everything. And I don't care if you're in Cowboy land or you're somewhere else. These are things that happen here. These are big things. If you look at the record of culmination, the Cowboys can only beat
weak
teams. Again, they're kind of like the Dolphins over there. If you look at their schedule of everything, I'm not saying the Cowboys are bad. I'm not saying they have a bad defense or anything, but they put on a gem against weaker teams. That being said, I'm going to go with the spoiler here. I think the Pack Attack is going to go on to play against the 49ers. I think they are going to stun McCarthy. And McCarthy's going to be stunned. Jerry Jones is going to be stunned. And there could possibly be a firing coming soon in McCarthy's future because Cowboys are going to lose to the Packers.
Says the guy that was surprised that I chose the Buccaneers last year over the Cowboys.
It happens.
All right. So, Rams and Lions. the Rams, they were pretty in around mid-season to late season. The Rams, they did pretty good. And after having a disastrous year last year, they were able to get right back into the postseason. As were the Lions, they were just good this year. I mean, first division title in 30 years. First postseason appearance since the 2016-17 season. But the Lions, they've done pretty good this year. And I'm going to give them the edge. And they are moving on to the divisional. And oh, by the way, Matthew Stafford will be returning
to Lion territory.
To the Lions Stadium. Not in a Lions uniform.
Ford Field.
But in a Rams uniform. But still, the Lions will move on to the divisional round.
You know, this is going to be a very good matchup between them two. I really like it a lot. I can see a lot of boos coming for Stafford, but I think a lot of cheers for him because he did get a Super Bowl win. So that was something he wanted to accomplish and everything. I think it's going to be one of those games where a lot of stakes are on the line. Tensions are going to be on the line. You could even see a fight or two. Not joking about that. Simply because of the grudge of how everything was done there between Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford, how it transitioned going from there. But putting all that aside, the Rams have showed at times they've been shaky, and then they've shown at times they've been good. Same thing with the Lions. They've shown at times, and I think that's what's been unique this year in football. We've seen even these teams that are in here, each of them has probably had one or two games where they've been like, you know, how physically could they have made that spot? You know, going from there. But I think this is going to be a really good game. I really do. You know, I really do. I think, you know, overall, I like what Jared Goff has done with his team this year. He has a lot of talent with him. Dan Campbell, no doubt about, has put up a great team. He's made the Lions into this winning culmination for years and years to come, I think we see. The Rams, they're at that point too. You know, McVay says he's going to be back next year. You know, so even if they lose this game, you know, McVay's coming back. I'm still worried about Stafford, though. You know, again, the inconsistency. I think the Lions will take the edge of this one, and the Lions move on.
All right, so for our last wild card game, it is Buccaneers hosting the Eagles. Basically a rematch of 2 years ago in the wild card game. But the Eagles, like I said earlier when we started talking about the NFC bracket, the Eagles have gone 1-5. 1-5 in the last 6 games. So that is really concerning, you know, for the Eagles. As to where the Buccaneers, heck, you made it to the playoffs without Tom Brady. That's good for you. That's good for your team. But I'm saying before the Eagles collapse even more, they are going to advance to play the 49ers. Since they'll be the lowest seed, they will be playing the 49ers in the divisional round.
That's what he says, correct. I have the Packers and 49ers playing. You know, this is two tales of the injury. What looked like the Eagles were going to take the powerhouse of their division and run away, and they were looking at that. Things really went on a change. I think there's something going on there. And, you know, I don't think you're seeing all these things of, oh, if Sirianni doesn't get through this, you know, the wild card this round or that round, or he doesn't win the Super Bowl this year, he's getting fired. I don't think Sirianni's getting fired. There's something between offensive communication and defensive communication that the players themselves are not liking. And fundamentally, it happens when you're building off of things. I mean, you're looking at a lot. Now, this past game that they played, the Eagles played, this has a lot of stuff that's going to hurt them. Number one, Jalen Hurts' middle finger. His middle finger, he was not, whether he wanted to intentionally flip the bird or whatever, that's his own, you know, whatever. Was he doing it on purpose? Probably not. So you could see the finger and everything. The middle finger, how's that middle finger going to hold up? You know, he might be using that middle finger this week if he loses in the Bucs. That being said, Baker Mayfield, there's been times where they've played strong, and then there's been shaky times for them as well, too. You know, but I'm not betting all the offense. It's one of those things. If I mean, I'd like to see the Bucks move along. Just something in my heart says the Eagles are going to transition and play, a better game. And I think the Eagles move on to play against the Lions.
All right. So, with that, that's wild cards, but we're not done there. We got divisional round. So, we're going to go back to the AFC, and I'm going to start off with the Ravens and Browns. Browns, look where they are today. They are in the divisional round. As toward the Ravens, they are well rested. Well, they are coming off of a loss. But anyways, they are well rested. They've gotten that extra week to rest.
Yep.
And I think it prevails. So Ravens, for the first time since God knows when, they will advance to the AFC title game to play the winner of the Bills and Chiefs game.
Look, if I had to say who looks like the best out there, and if it ended today, to give fair credit, the Ravens played. They look the best on the AFC side, guys. They look like the team to beat, and I like the matchup that I picked in here between the Ravens and Browns. Two teams that are going to play really, really good. I expect, though, don't get me wrong, Lamar does not have the best record when it comes to playoffs. So this is one of those games you're going to watch. You're going to really see what he has. Number one, he does have the benefit that he has home field advantage pretty much throughout the whole thing. So that if they are to make the AFC, championship game and everything, it runs through them. It runs through their territory. That being said, the Browns, I like their matchup too. Joe Flacco is playing against his former head coach. So he whether Harbaugh has changed things around, which I'm pretty sure he has, Joe Flacco still knows some of those plays they're probably going to do. And that's the whole scouting. That's the whole report, offense, defense, yada, yada from there. I think it's going to be closer than what everybody thinks. And with that being said, though, I think the Ravens squeak out to the AFC Championship game.
All right, moving on to the Bills and Chiefs. Both teams really have bad blood against each other when it comes to the playoffs and the AFC title game back in 2021.
Yeah.
Well, technically 2020, but, I call it 2021 for a reason. That was a very intense game. I wouldn't say intense, but the Chiefs were able to beat the Bills to advance to the Super Bowl. The divisional round a year later, that was a pretty intense game. Like, Mahomes was... The Chiefs were literally 13 seconds away from being eliminated.
And then they had controversy this year in play that the Bills won.
But, yeah, both teams... It's been bad blood between one and another, but...
I don't think it's bad blood. I think it's friendly competition with a couple bad calls.
But I think this could be another interesting battle. You know what? The other twist with our predictions today, we have to predict if there's a game that the highest chance of a game to go to overtime. I think this is the game that goes overtime. But I think the Bills are going to get past the Chiefs in the playoffs, and they are going to be they're going to be moving on to the AFC title game. Chiefs, not every year you have to make it to the AFC title game. You need to have a couple years out.
You have to have a couple years out.
That's what's going to happen this year. After that offense, what's concerning me, that's what's getting me saying I'm not sure if they're going to be able to move on. So, Bills, in overtime, you are moving on to the AFC Championship game.
Look, the Chiefs at the beginning of the year, it was about building a dynasty, coming together. That first game of the year in Chris Collinsworth, I love when the guy talks because he is probably one of my favorite announcers for the game. And I like the way he puts everything, and I like how neutral he is for every team. These two teams have a lot of respect for one another. Both have very good, quarterbacks that know how to get the job done. Now, the Bills have that advantage again. It would be played in Buffalo, so that's one of those things of it. The Bills at times have been shaky. Their defense has been shaky. That's one of the concerns for me for the Bills is how is their defense going to hold? Kansas City's defense has been great under Spagnuolo this year. The offense is where it concerns me, especially in Buffalo. That being said, I expect this myself. I think this is going to be a very, very good game. I see this because I think he looked at my bracket.
I did not look
I think he did. I think he looked at it and said, oh, what I wrote. This is going to be the game that's going to go to overtime. It is. And one thing I think that fuels the Chiefs to motivate themselves to do better this game is what happened in the regular season. You know, they know what they're going to have to do. They know what they're going to have to be able to do to get it done and fix the errors they made, the penalties, the whole 9 yards. I think that is one thing they are really going to focus on. And for that being said, I think Harrison Butker is the star of this game with the 60-yard field goal in overtime to advance them to the AFC Championship.
Every year he thinks, AFC Championship.
It's about finishing the story. So when I say finishing the story there, and it's experience too. They have a lot of experience when it comes down to it. It's not about them going to the Super Bowl every year. It's about them having the most experience, the knowledge to be able to do. They have that time. Right now, out of all these teams, between the Ravens and the Chiefs, they probably have the two best defenses, and defense is what builds and wins championships.
All right, 49ers and Eagles. So this will be a rematch of last year's NFC Championship game, but this year will be divisional round. 49ers, they're the number 1 seed as to where the Eagles. I think it's going to be the 49ers advancing to the NFC Championship game for the 3rd straight year. I think the Eagles, whatever they're doing, might catch up to them later on in the playoffs, and that is why the Eagles will not advance to round number 3.
So you have them playing the who? 49ers?
Yeah.
You know, I have the 49ers playing the Pack Attack. And, you know, Brock Purdy, he has his first round bye. I like what he's done this season. Nothing against him. I think he has played his heart out, and I think he's solidified why he is going to be their QB for years and years to come. I like what Kyle Shanahan has done with that team, built into that team. They have an explosive offense and defense, guys. I think they have it solidly nailed right there. I really do. However, the Packers, again, they've shown at times where they've had that inconsistency. While I would love to give Jordan Love that chance to move on, I think, again, it's experience compared to inexperience. Inexperience out of him, that's what hurts. And I think the 49ers move on into the NFC Championship game.
For the last divisional round matchup, I have Cowboys hosting the Lions in the NFC divisional round. And both teams, they've done phenomenal this year. And the last a couple weeks ago, both teams met up, and apparently the Lions, they got screwed over, and they started putting up billboards saying, "Oh, they should be 12-4, not 11-5." And they said Decker did whatever.
Are we talking about
that controversial game?
Where he did. He went over to the referee. He reported himself as an eligible receiver, and the referee didn't. He saw it. There was the consent for it.
The billboards actually said Decker reported.
He did. So you even saw it on camera. It was clear. It was clear as day for him.
But you know what, Cowboys? You know how you're really wanting to go to the AFC Championship game? Well, too bad. You're going to have to wait another year. I'm saying the Lions are going to get revenge, and they're going to play against the 49ers in the NFC Championship title game.
I have the Eagles and Lions playing. The only thing I don't have is the Bears, and we don't have Tigers either. There's no Tigers for any.
I mean, minus
Bengals.
the Bengals in the
Yes,
AFC.
unless you want to call it Lions, Bengals, and Bears. Oh my! But that being said, I like both of I like this matchup. I think it's great. I think it's probably a stellar matchup between Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, two quarterbacks that are fundamentally great, two offensive lines that are great, one that lacks better offense and one that lacks better defense, and that's the Eagles. I don't think the Eagles have the capability to get over it. I just think they have a lot going on this year. As much as everybody wants it to be the Chiefs and Eagles, I don't see a Chiefs-Eagles rematch this year with middle finger Hurts. He's hurt. He's hurt, guys. His middle finger hurts. That being said, there's some crucial things there. I just don't think there's the chemistry clicking. I think the Lions are flying on all cylinders in this. And I think that loss really fuels them to win. I really do. I think they take that, they turn it into a positive. And sometimes that's that motivation that you really need to fire your team up. A bad call here and there. Yeah, bad calls by officiating, you say it doesn't lose. Well, that game, it was a game where they should have won and they lost. Call it controversial. Referees were crucial to it. That was a game lost by them. By the referees. That being said, I think the Lions win, and they move on to play the 49ers in the NFC Championship game.
All right, we are halfway through. Now it's the AFC and NFC title games. Starting off with the AFC title game, the Ravens and Bills. For a chance for a Super Bowl 58 appearance. Now both teams, again, they've done phenomenal. Ravens, they've been that the fire-powered team. As for the Bills, the Bills, they still got some great players out there. I don't have to keep repeating myself. Say they have Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. They're a great duo out there. What a comeback season for the Bills. But I think it comes to an end in the AFC title game. And the Ravens will move on to the Super Bowl.
Interesting. Look, I have the Ravens and Chiefs playing. There was a time when before Andy Reid, that the Ravens could win against the Chiefs. And don't get me wrong, the Ravens have shown they can beat any team in this league. The Chiefs they have work to do for me here. And it's not that I'm a fanboy of them, but they have a defense as well as the Ravens do. So they both have that going for them. Now, let's talk about offense. The Chiefs don't have that offensive firepower, but the Ravens do have that firepower, correct?
Yeah, that's probably going to be the difference maker.
I think defense is going to be the clear winner here. I think it's going to come over to turnovers.
Okay.
I think it's going to come over to scooping scorers.
Okay.
If I had to, look, I like both teams. I really do. I have respect for Harbaugh. I have respect for Reid. I just think it comes to the experience. I think Chris Jones is hungry, and I think there's going to be a lot on the game, on the line there, and that's where experience comes into play. Not offensively, but defensively. And I think defense wins this game for the Chiefs. And the Chiefs move on to the Super Bowl.
All right. Now, the last game before the Super Bowl, 49ers and Lions.
Dun, dun,
Both
dun.
of these teams have done really good this year, firing on all four cylinders. Both teams have been offensive powerhouses. Heck, if I was to predict another overtime game, it would probably be this one.
Yeah.
But remember, we had to predict at least one. But you know what? I'm going to go bold with my big brain right here.
Your big brain?
And I am going to predict there are going to be 2 overtime games this postseason.
That'd be 3.
Well, for this game right here, 49ers and Lions will be overtime. How about a field goal by the 49ers. The 49ers are going to advance in overtime to Super Bowl 58 to play the Ravens.
I like both of these teams. If I could pick them both to go to the Super Bowl and play against the other team, I would. But unfortunately, that's not how football works, unfortunately. Maybe they should make a league where two teams go against one team. Or actually have two teams, how many players are on the field at the time?
22.
No, how many on offense and defense? If there's
11.
So if we could kind of split it up to have, say, 6 players of one team defensively, 5 players for another team on the defense, and but anyway, let's go ahead and get into it here. I like both teams. I think Purdy and Goff have done great. Again, I think this is one of those things. However, I think one thing comes out, which is experience again. The Lions. Jared Goff has been with the Rams. He's been there before. He has a lot of upgrades, such as, so do the 49ers. It's hard to put pressure, and I think it comes down to, again, it's going to become a defensive game. Whose defense is going to prevail better? Is it going to be the 49ers or is it going to be the Lions? I think defense wins, and I just like the Lions' defense a little stronger than what the 49ers is, and that's why I have the Lions going to the Super Bowl.
Oh my goodness. Of course he predicted Chiefs and Lions. What was new there?
What's new there?
All right. Now it's time for the Super Bowl predictions.
Dun, dun, dun.
Ravens and 49ers. Fun fact, this is a repeat of Super Bowl, if I'm right, Super Bowl 58. Or not 58, 48.
48. Only without the head coach.
Not 48, 47. That would have been like 11 years ago. I was
only without Harbaugh
little
and
when
Harbaugh.
that happened. So with the rematch, we got Lamar Jackson, OBJ. We got, on the other side of the ball, in the NFC, we got Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey. This is going to be a tight game. I think this is going to be a tight game. Both number 1 seeds trying to seek a Super Bowl title. I know the Ravens won it in Super Bowl 47 against the 49ers. But I do think the Ravens are going to do it again over the 49ers. And they're going to beat the 49ers in Super Bowl 58 11 years later.
Yeah, but you're comparing apples to oranges there. Because you don't have the duo of Harbaugh versus Harbaugh. You don't have the lights going out. Remember, the lights went out at that game? And then all of a sudden it changed around. Look, Harbaugh has his championship. He has his Super Bowl ring. And his brother, congratulations, has the Michigan Wolverines.
They suck.
They're great. They're great. That being said, I have the Chiefs and Lions playing. You know why I have the Chiefs and Lions playing? Because Chris Collinsworth said it at the beginning of the year. That's why. If you were to listen to context clues at the beginning of the year, Chris Collinsworth, this was one of his things. Now, if you saw anything that happened a couple days ago, there was a leak that showed the Chiefs losing to the Lions in the Super Bowl. Call it faith, compared to like last year, there was that leak that the Chiefs lost to the Eagles in the Super Bowl. So there's something going on here. Whether it's scripted or not scripted, I don't care about that. It's entertainment, guys. It's entertainment. Either I'll be crying or he'll be crying. True story. He was crying last year because after he predicted the Chiefs to win, during the game, he wanted the Eagles to win. He's like, go, Eagles, go. Yeah, he was not talked to that whole night. He actually was not talked to that whole night because he betrayed everybody. That being said, I expect it to be one of the best games ever seen. I expect it to be just as good as that first game that was played on Thursday Night Football. However, the Chiefs have one key piece that is back. Now, we won't know if he was a deciding factor because he was sitting in the stands. He was sitting in the stands, and his name is Chris Jones. He was not playing that first week, and it was a 21-20 game. If Chris Jones was on this team, week one or playing that week instead of holding out for, the contract, would it have been a deciding factor to reduce the score? We don't know. Although, this is what I know. Defense wins championships, guys. Defense wins championships. While Goff has been to the big game before, there was that fundamental breakdown. Mahomes has been there before. He's had the fundamental breakdown against Tom Brady. I think when you lose to Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, it makes you stronger and better because losing to him really fixes those kinks out. No doubt about it, Tom Brady was the GOAT. Greatest. He's the greatest of all time. No doubt about it. But losing to him only makes teams stronger. That being said, the perfection aims, and it's going overtime, guys. It's going overtime. And guess who's going to be their savior? It's not going to be Mahomes. It's not going to be Kelsey. It's going to be Tony. If he plays. Tony's going to catch the winning touchdown in overtime. And they're going to grow crowned out as a dynasty this year. And that's how it's going to work. You just got to look for the clues of everything. And, again, it's not putting my team over any other team first. There are doubts. I have doubts of that. But I think the experience sits there. It's a whole new game come postseason, and that's what leads. I think it's going to be a great year. So I say the Chiefs win.
All right, keep dreaming.
Keep dreaming. That's what I always do. One more thing I want to ask you. If there's one team that you could say underperformed this year that didn't do to your expectations, who would it be?
Jaguars.
Wow! You have a mind like mine. I said they were going to lose. Why did they underperform on your end?
They started out so good in the season, and then all of a sudden they went on that. I think that 4-game winning, losing streak
at her.
I think that's probably what killed their season.
Trevor getting injured, and I call him Trevor. Not everybody has a nickname. That probably was a culminating factor. I had high hopes for them. They're cleaning house this year. Peterson fired a whole bunch of people and said, "Get out, get out, get out, get out." That. Like how I said that. You wonder if he ever says that. You think he just removes all their stuff and evicts them? Mm-hmm. He changes the lock. You never know. But yes, I agree with you there. I think it was disappointing. They had high expectations, and this was a team I was wanting to see. Them go a little further, and they looked like they were building that, and then all of a sudden, they go on this 4-game losing streak. They lose Lawrence 1 week. It hurts. It really does. There's something chemically, and then the Titans of all teams, they let the Titans explode them. I mean, it was work. Have you ever heard of the band Loaded Diaper? That's almost like what it was. It's like the song. I hope he's watching that movie, listening to the song Loaded Diaper, because that's what it is about right here. I think the Titans played it all good for them. I mean, the Titans had nothing to lose whether they won or not. They wanted Henry to go out a winner. They wanted Tannehill to go out because they know Tannehill and them won't be back next season. But that being said, I mean, it exploded. Their whole season imploded on that last game. And Trevor Lawrence looked oblivious to what happened there. I think the shock of it. So, yes, that would be the one team that I would be very, very shocked. That I think underperformed coming later down in the season and hurt their chance. So, anything else you want to talk about?
That's really it for now.
Let's shake hands. May the better team win, and the loser, you know what? I'm going to put some good old-fashioned betting on the line of this thing. If I lose my predictions, I will have Dylan record a video of me watching baby TV and me dancing to one of the songs. No. How about that one? Just for me. No. Not for you. For me.
No.
Yes. If you want to see me dance, this should give you fuel to motivate you to hope that your bracket wins. So you better be glued to this going, come on, please, please, so my father can watch baby TV. I'll even do the dance. I'll even watch Yo Gabba Gabba, guys.
All right.
There we go.
With that basically concludes it for now. If you guys want to subscribe to our channel, then smash that subscribe button. And smash that like button, break the glass on your... Okay, don't actually break the glass on your... break the glass on your phone. But smash the subscribe button, smash the like button. Comment if you want to see something else. Comment on your predictions for the postseason this year. And until then, best of luck between you and I.